Lift every voice and sing to earth in heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, DeMarco and Takara. Thank you. When it comes to HIV and AIDS, the famous saying of when white America has a cold, black America has the flu rings true when it comes to this disease as well. Every year in the United States, since the epidemic began in 1981, blacks have been disproportionately affected by HIV and AIDS. More than any other racial, ethnic group in the United States, blacks account for more new HIV infections. AIDS cases, people estimated to be living with HIV disease and HIV-related deaths. Even though blacks make up 13% of the U.S. population, we account for about half of the people who get HIV and AIDS. Blacks don't live as long as people of other races and ethnic groups with AIDS due to a multiple level of barriers, such as poverty and stigma. Blacks have more deaths due to HIV and AIDS than any other racial ethnic group. The HIV/AIDS epidemic in Black America is a continuing public health crisis for the United States. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, at the end of 2006, there were an estimated 1.1 million people living with HIV infection, of which almost half were black. By race and ethnicity, African Americans face the most severe burden of HIV in the United States. At the end of 2007, blacks accounted for almost half of people living with a diagnosis of HIV infection in the 37 states and 5 U.S. dependent areas with long-term, confidential, name-based HIV reporting. Excuse me. In 2006, blacks accounted for nearly half of new infections in the 50 states and the District of Columbia. Even though new HIV infections among blacks overall have been roughly stable since the early 90s, compared with members of other races and ethnicities. Blacks continue to account for a higher proportion of cases at all stages of HIV, from new infections to deaths. According to the CDC, in 2008, an estimated 18,328 blacks received an AIDS diagnosis, a number that has remained relatively stable since 2005. By the end of 2007, an estimated 233,624 blacks with the diagnosis of AIDS had died in the United States in 5 dependent areas. In 2006, HIV was the 9th leading cause of death for all blacks and the 3rd leading cause of death for both black men and black women aged 35 to 44. Given the aforementioned challenges, National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day becomes crucial in working to stem the tide of HIV and get those who test positive linked to care and treatment services. Well, I'd like to introduce Voice of Wisdom. We have Ms. Priscilla Hill. She is the author and she's also a publisher of a variety of uplifting poetry and short stories based on life back in the day.
Okay, this one was a poem I wrote for this day. It's called Love on a Quilt, a memoir. Messages sent long ago on quilts, hanging discreetly, solemnly in the wind, created by Grandma's wrinkle-worn hands, weaving signs directing them towards freedom, directing those towards freedom, those who chose to fight to live and get back life, underground and overground. Oh, how times have changed, but somehow remains the same. Now Grandma's nimble fingers design love on quilts, spread all over the land. Songs sustain memories of loved ones gone too soon, leaving us a legacy of loss from a diseased enemy of our people, captivating our lives, creating missing links. When stretching this newly weaved quilt across the cool green grass, I saw your name on the top right side, where someone had placed your image there, with your beginning, your ending, and special words of who you were. A son, a brother, a father, a friend. You were my lover, my companion over the years, a beautiful black man, kind in spirit, loving, peaceful, passing your seed, not knowing how or why, giving it to me to grasp the meaning, the reason for it all. In your short life, you became the motivator, sending us a wake-up call, choosing to live, to love, to fight. We lift you up, and thousands of others, carefully, lovingly, moving you to another place, another time, but never out of our hearts and minds, because you energized us toward a greater freedom, a greater hope, a greater awareness, still fighting to live and get back life. When one day there will be no need for love weaved on quilts, but instead voices will lift up and loudly proclaim freedom from this scourge of HIV and AIDS. Woo! What a day that will be.
No.